I thought it'd be good for chart reading to look at a video on how to go through some of these types of questions that might come up working with existing buildings and trying to use existing floor plans or construction types and seeing what can or cannot be kind of repurposed in the same buildings. So let's start with the first one and work our way through the list. Ideally, it'd be good for you to have done this on your own first and kind of check yourself with what we're doing here. So if you haven't quite got a chance to do this, follow the steps in the lecture and see if you can't get kind of some answers here. And then let's look at some thinking through it through this video. When working on these kind of word problem type things, we need to find out what we need to look at. What are the pieces of information that are given to us, and basically ignore anything that's not. So for example, the first one talks about how many floors, the construction type, and the height. It doesn't tell me about the area. So I'm just going to ignore any information I gather from the area and just look at only those things, the floors and the height, and see whether or not type 3B could be used there. So let's go look at their charts for that. So 504.3 will give us height, and 504.4 will give us stories. So those are the two charts I can need to worry about for this first question. So we're looking at a type 3B construction. Type 3B would be this column right here. And they tell us it's an academy. So I need to determine where an academy falls. I'll have to go to chapter 3. So an academy is like a school, and it's supposed to be, like maybe it's a prep academy or a special academy, something for education. Well, it typically is for high school, junior high level, and so this will fall right under an E educational group. So educational put us right on this column right here, right on this row right here for height, and it says it's non-sprinklered, so we're going to use this first designation. And then it says that it has 3 floors and the total height's 55, and it's a type 3B. All right, there's type 3B. All right, so there's our number 55. It can be 55 feet tall. So one part of the question is done. In other words, they talk about 3 floors and 55 feet. It's academy. We got that taken care of. We got 55 feet. It can be built if it can be used. That space can be used if it's 55 feet tall. All right, let's look at the number of stories it can be. And now it's educational, so we're now at this point. And 3B is right here. So it's going to be kind of tricky to follow along, but we're going to try the best here. All right, so there we go. This says it can only be, if it's non-sprinklered, a 2-story building. You see that? That's 3B. And let's go across educational. Puts it right there, okay? You have another chart in your handout so you can use as well, but there it is, 2 stories. So can they use this building for an academy? No, they cannot, because it is non-sprinklered and it's 3 floors. Now, if they put if it's make it a type 3A, or if they add sprinklers to the system, then they would be able to do that. So hopefully that you understand how we're using these tables. Let's look at the next one. So this one says an existing sprinkler building. So again, now we got another piece we have to keep in mind. It's a sprinkler building with a construction type of 5A. Now 5A is one of the lower ones. Remember, closer to 5B, less restrictions. Closer to 1A, very restrictive. So if you want to be less, you go to the 5. If you want to be more, you want to go to the 1. So it just depends. And number 1A will be for skyscrapers, for example. Okay, so we're talking about a 4-floor building. Well, that's a lot of floors for a 5A, with a total height of 70 feet. Okay, all right. And this can be converted to a dentist office. So here, once again, we're not worried about square footages. We're worried about the height and the number of floors. A dentist office. Well, a dentist office would be a business type. It's a service, right? It's like the interior design office or architect's office. A dentist will be giving you service. They'll be taking care of your teeth. All right, it's got 4 floors, height of 70 feet. Well, let's see if we can do that. All right, so we're B. Well, here right now we're in the number of stories. Okay, 5A is over here, way over here. and it's a B. So I'm going to go down here, and it's sprinklered. Okay, that column right there. We have a 4-story building, and this is a 4-story building. So that part is right. Now the next thing is, it's 70 feet tall, the total height. So we need to find out whether or not the height might be an issue for 5A. So I'm going to go up to here to table 5043. Here's 5A. Here's B for business. It is sprinklered, and we can go 70 feet. So this is exactly on the nose for both floor and height. The only question we need to find out to make it 100% sure is the square footage, and that was not given to us, so we're not going to worry about it. We can say, yes, this building can be a dentist office. All right, so now we're talking about a single-story sprinkler building with a construction type of 2A that's got 65,500 square feet. Okay, wait, this is a whole different question, isn't it now? We're not talking about height. We're not talking about floors. Well, that's a single story, so it gave us that piece of information. But it's 65,000 square feet. So now we have to look at a different table to see if this is going to work. And they want to turn it into a motion picture theater. Okay, we got to determine what that is too. All right, that goes back to chapter 3. So by now we should know that a theater is going to be an assembly type situation. The question is, what kind of motion picture theater? Well, here it is right there. Motion picture theaters, group A1. So now we know it's an A1 group, type 2A, type 2A building type. So it's pretty stringent, right? There's not going to be a lot of combustible materials there. And it's 65,500 square feet. All right. Can we make this building into a motion picture theater with just the data we have? All right. So here we are, table 506.2. That's the one that has that area. And we've got these designations here, NS, S1, and SM. What does this all mean here? Well, again, go down at the bottom to the legend, and it says, okay, so it says, well, okay, UL is unlimited area. Okay, NP not permitted. NS, buildings not equipped with automatic sprinkler system. That says that doesn't have a not sprinklered. Oh, S1. S1 is a building with a 1-story building above the grade plane equipped throughout with the sprinkler system. We do have a single-story building, so we want to take a look at this one. So what's SM? Buildings with 2 or more stories. So that's how they designate it, S1 or SM. All right, let's go back up in here. We're back to here now. We've said it was an A1, and it's a 1-story. So this is what we want to see right here. We got to go through here. And then on top of that, we said it's a 2A. So 2A puts us at this point right here, 62,000 square feet for a type 2A building, single story. Can it be converted to motion picture theater? No. Our client wanted 65,500. So this will not work. Because we need more square footage than what is there. So maybe if they want to resize it, make it smaller, maybe. It is already sprinklered, so that's not going to help any, really. At least if it was type A1, not sprinklered, type 2A, it would only be 15,000. So you can imagine the sprinkler added quite a bit of square footage possibility to this project, but it was not enough for what they want to construct. All right, let's look at the next one. The last one here, a 2-story sprinklered building. Okay, we got sprinklered again, 2 stories now. And it's type 4HT, heavy timber, or very thick timber here, has 62,500 square feet per floor. Bakery factory, looking at, we're talking maybe a factory that makes muffins and things like that, and then gives it to the distributor, like it makes like thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and ships them out to different places. So it's a factory. It's not a place you can go and buy your morning coffee bagel or something like that. So this is a major factory. So let's take a look at, again, building types and see where it lands. It is in the factory group, and sure enough, under F1 factories, we have bakeries. Now, this is different than when you get a muffin shop. That'd be more of a mercantile situation. This is a bakery that makes a lot of quantities, and then they sell it. They send out to the distributors, and then the distributors sell it. All right, so it's an F1. Back to 506.2 here. It's an F1, so it's going to be in this area. It's multiple floors, at least it's sprinkler, which is good. Multiple floors here. All right, and we said it's a type 4 heavy timbers. Here's type 4 heavy timbers way out here. So we're going to see if we can keep a track of that. This is kind of tricky on this charts. All right, so here's F1, F1. There's heavy timber. And multiple floors. Looks to me like we can have 100,000 square feet per floor. So we're well within the range that they need. I'm going to take a look again. I'm going to leave my cursor here and kind of scroll up. Yeah, type 4 heavy timber. So they have plenty per floor. This building can be converted into a bakery factory. In this one's a little different. We've got different uses, and we may consider putting these two types of uses together side by side. So the question is, do there need to be any hour-rated walls between the different types of uses? So one of the first things you're going to want to do is determine what these are. In other words, what is a daycare? What occupancy type? And then interior design office, a stadium, and a bakery. So, and we're assuming they're going to be putting these right adjacent to each other. And so if it has to be an R-rated wall, what do they need to be? We've been told to use the 508.4 table, so that's exactly what we will do. So here we are in table 508.4, and so we're just going to take a look at these. So again, we need to figure out what our occupancies are, and depending on what they are will depend on whether or not they can be adjacent to each other. Just a quick note, there's N and there's NP. So always when you take a look at these things, if you're not quite sure what the letters mean, make sure you look down here at the legend. So N means no separation, but NP means not permitted. So that's going to be something to be careful with. So let's go ahead and look at Chapter 3 at all the different occupancies. Chapter 3 lays them all out. And what we want to do is we actually want to see the exact wording if possible. So kind of scrolling down, we know we've got the stadium, and that's going to be an assembly type group. Just by default, we should know this by now because it's going to be assembly of a large group of people. So let's kind of take a look and see what they are here. And we go down, we see, A5. There it is, stadiums. And you want to try and get something, either the exact same wording or something very, very close. Of course, scrolling on down, we can see that we've got under businesses, we've got professional services. Well, there you go. Interior designers will certainly fall into that. So they are going to be just a straight B occupancy. There's no different like A5s or anything like that. It's just straight B. So we're going to make it a B occupancy. So going on down, we look at educational, and we see here that we have different situations depending on how many children there are. We would have to know what we're using this. I was anticipating a large daycare center, so it's going to have more than 5 children there. It's not like a house daycare. It's a large daycare center, and it's not going to be overnight. So it's not going to be overnight. It's not one of these kind of institutional type situations. So it's going to fall under the E category. You would certainly talk with a client or something like that and know which way it's going to go. Kind of screwing on down, we have our bakery, but I see there's a category called bakeries here under factory. In this particular idea, it's more like a little bakery shop. You know, it's not a factory that they make, a lot of bakery equipment or a lot of bakery items. I'm imagining more of a bakery shop. So this bakery probably won't work for us, what we're looking for. So I'm going to keep on going down. It's a place where we're going to buy and sell things like, muffins and maybe nice little light drinks, something like that. And really the best group will be the mercantile group. what's the difference between, let's say, a bakery selling things and like a business? Why is bakery not a business? And I think it has to do more with whether you're doing services or if you're doing products. So I'm imagining this bakery is going to give you a product, a muffin, a donut, a cake. Whereas when you go to the interior design office, they'll provide you a service, a design service. Or when you go to the dentist, they'll provide you service to repair your teeth or optometrist, so forth. So I'm thinking of this like a market or one of these department stores. Your textbook actually had bakery under the mercantile group. And again, it depends on what kind of bakery. If it's a big factory type bakery, chunking out a lot of things that will go out to the smaller shops, right? Or is it a small shop that where they do the bakery right there, they sell you the bakery product right there. So that's going to be group M. So now we have the chart kind of laid out, and right away we put our letters in there so we know which is which. So we got the educational, the business, the A5 assembly, and the mercantile. And now we can look at the chart. Now we can look at 508.4 and actually take a look and see how they can relate with each other. So looking at this, here's A and E occupancies, right? Same thing here. They will both have N. So now we need to think about whether it's a sprinklered or a non-sprinkler situation. And in this case, we know that we were told it's non-sprinklered. So we need to look at the NS columns here, right, for non-sprinklered. All right, and so these might be existing buildings and so forth that are not sprinklered. Again, look down here on the little legend, and it gets you information what you need to do. All right, so A and E, both of those, if they're going to be a stadium next to a stadium or a daycare next to daycare, N means no separation required. So we can certainly put that right away. What about business? Well, here's business down here. So business, and now I have to go across to business. Oh, look at that. Again, N as well. No separation required. And that's the same thing, by the way, for mercantile. So great, we got that taken care of. So the chart looks something like this now, right? Daycare to daycare, no separation, so forth. All right. So what about a daycare next to an office? Well, let's take a look at that. So daycare is E, and again, it's not sprinklered, so I'm going straight down. And office is B. I can see right now that would require a 2-hour rated wall. So because it's not sprinklered, that's required. If it was sprinkled, it'd only have to be a 1-hour rated wall. But because there are two different kinds of uses, just for safety purposes, we want a 2-hour rated wall between those two types of uses. So here you see again the chart kind of laid out. 2-hour rated wall, 2-hour rated wall, because it's business to daycare, daycare to business. It's going to be kind of that kind of symmetry going all the way down this piece, but we'll keep on going through here. What about daycare next to a stadium? I know that's a weird combo, but let's look at what that would do. So again, they're basically an A and an E, and you can see here's E, and here's A. I mean, so it's nothing. They don't need to have any sort of rating. And while we're at it, let's look at the educational and the mercantile, and it would be again a 2-hour rated because of it being not sprinklered. So we basically took care of a good chunk of the chart by looking at the daycare going all the way through. So what's going to be left? Well, what about the interior design office with the stadium? All right, that would be something to think about. And the interior design office with the bakery. How would that look? So the occupancy for the stadium is an A5, and so looking down again, not sprinklered, going to the B for business, it's going to be 2-hour rated. And the business and mercantile over here, you can see that they're not rated as well. So that gives us more things to look at here and put on our chart. So far, the chart is looking something like this. The only thing left to kind of determine is our bakery, how that's related to the stadium. And once we have that data, this chart will be full. So again, because stadium is an A occupancy and mercantile, and it's not sprinklered, so 2R rated wall. And here you have the chart complete. So hopefully this little exercise kind of helped out going through the process of looking at these charts.